What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the show recap with Mo, where we're getting ready to get into another episode breakdown of the Misspatch Show. But before we get into this thing, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss shit snit that's going down, alright? So the episode we're getting ready to get into is for Season 3, Episode number 3, titled Down with the King. Now, the synopsis for this episode states, as Pat continues to do well on the tour, she must determine if the cost of succeeding is worth the price of her soul. At home, Junebug's pregnancy scare raises eyebrows and suspicion with his new girlfriend. Now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so we kicked this episode off with Pat and Denise being excited about being on tour with Tony Free. Pat is killing it on the stage, Denise is killing it off stage, and they have this little conversation where they're just celebrating one another's success, and in walks Tony Free. Now when Tony Free walks in, he tells Pat that he's excited that she's opening for him because he prefers to have someone on stage that's killing it, which forces him to do a better job, following up after a great act. So going on from there, Pat goes on to tell him, this joke about her son, going to this test, actually passing the test. She got pissed off, beat his ass a little bit, woo, woo, woo. So in the meantime, while she's there telling him this joke, Tony then goes over to this piano that's in the back corner, reaches down inside of the piano, pulls the content that he was looking for out of the piano, brings it over to the table, and it just so happens to contain some of that snow blow. Now, if you're wondering what in the hell is Mo talking about, I'm talking about some of that stuff that you put up your nose, all right? I'm just not calling it by its name, all right? So anyhow, he pulls it out, and then he invites the ladies to come over to partake with him. Denise and Pat are like, hell to the no, like, we know what that stuff do to you, you know what I'm saying? No. And he was like, look, when you've been in the business for a while, you just need a little pick-me-up or whatnot, so you get accustomed to it. And they was like, no, we're not going to get into all of that. But anyhow, while he's partaking of the substance, right, that's when Pat is giving him this story about her son taking a test. She was trying to get a check, but he was listening, but he wasn't really listening. But obviously he was listening, if you get my drift, right? So, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So anyhow, when he gets done doing what he does, he tells them to clean up the mess. Denise is like, hell to the no, like, you do it yourself. Like, we ain't touching that. He was like, no, you must have forgot. Like, this ain't no request. This is a command. Like, you gonna clean it up, do what I say, and call me Mr. Free. I was like, hell to the no. So going on from there, we head over to the Carson family house to see Junebug, Brandon, and their sister Ashley there when the doorbell rings. Now, when the doorbell rings, we see this, YT girl at the door. So Junebug comes to the door and immediately their lips lock. All right, they're kissing. Ashley can't believe what she's seeing, nor can Brandon. And when she comes in, Junebug attempts to, introduce her to everyone. And then she comes in hugging everyone. All right, so that catches everyone off guard. So she's like, look, should I call you my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law? And it was like, no, what are you talking about? So anyhow, she's like, look, Junie and I, we met on TikTok. And they was like, who in the hell is Junie? And Junebug is like, oh, that's like a little cute name that you got for me. And they was like, oh, okay. No, call me by my name. Don't call me no cute name, Junie, or nothing like that. But anyhow, going on from there, we find out that her dad is the mayor. Now, that rubs Ashley the wrong way because she had a problem from the get-go about, her father, due to all the things that he's doing with his policies or whatnot, and, affecting specifically the unhoused or whatnot. So, Allison got up, said something about the homeless. Ashley got upset and said the unhoused, and she was like, well, I appreciate you correcting me, Ash. And I was like, oh, Uh-oh. So Ashley then gets up and like, okay, you need to calm the heck down and call me by my name. In the meantime, they're getting ready to leave to go see this show called Downtown Abbey or Dalton Abbey. Damn, I can't even get it together. Whatever it is, I've never watched it, never been intrigued about watching it. Nothing, right? So anyhow, when they're getting ready to leave, in walks Terry. Now, Terry's coming in. Obviously, he's been doing something outside or whatnot. And Terry's like, well, who is this? Noticing the white tea girl, right? So he was like, okay. And she comes over, introduces herself, and says to him directly, like, should I call you dad? And he was like, no, absolutely not. So anyhow, I can already envision what this man is thinking in his mind. Like, who is this strange YT girl in my crib sitting up here talking about, can I call you dad? So going on from there, we head back over to the club to see Tony Free on stage killing the audience. I mean, killing the audience. They loving it. And then all of a sudden, Tony Free lets out this joke. The joke just so happened to be the joke that Pat told him earlier about her son taking a test so she can get a paycheck or whatnot. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And, you know, both Denise and Pat overhear him doing it on stage. Denise ain't going for it. She was like, look, when he comes back here, I'm going to get him on the bottom, you get him on the top. Pat is like, look, man, don't worry about it. Like, when a legend like him, you know, takes your joke, it's flattery. It's good. Now, we could talk about this, and I'm actually going to make another video, probably, I might do it tonight, about that whole Cat Williams situation, because that's been on my heart to talk about. Actually, let me know down below if y'all would like me to talk about other things outside of just recapping some of these shows. Like, I ain't gonna get into no gossip, but I could talk about some of the real things that's going on in our community as well as in the public. But anyhow, getting back to this show, Pat is like, look, we're not gonna do nothing, we're gonna say nothing, just let it go. Denise is like, no, that's your art. That's your craft. Like, you should be upset because he didn't even ask you could he utilize it. And that's your work. And Pat is like, look, just leave it alone. So anyhow, in the meantime, Pat leaves. Denise is still in the room. Tony Free, has killed the stage. Now he's walking back to the back. He's actually looking for Pat. Like, where she at? She's actually gone. But, Denise is there, and he was like, oh, I forgot my bag or whatnot. Denise is like, oh, you also forgot your creativity. He was like, what you say to me? So he turns around all aggressive and shit, like, you not going to talk to me like that. And she was like, no, you stole Pat's joke. He was like, B, I don't have to do nothing. Like, I've been in this game for years. That sounds ironic, don't it? Like, that sounds like Cedric the Entertainer recently when he was talking about Cat Williams. But anyhow, I ain't gonna slip no more, y'all. I'm gonna stay on topic. I'm gonna stay on topic real quick. But anyhow, he's like, look, if you don't stop hassling me about this situation, like, I will crush your sister's career like a cockroach that comes out when company shows up. And I was like, damn. Like for real, that's what we're going to do. So anyhow, going on from there, we head back over to the Carson crib where we see all the siblings on the couch watching a movie or whatnot when the doorbell rings once again. It just so happens to be Ashley once again. So this time she comes with new news. And this news now is that she ran away from home because she had a full-fledged fight with her father and she was hoping that she could stay there with him. Junebug is like, yeah. I'm sorry, Junie is like, yeah. And Ashley and Brandon is like, hell to the no. Like, and Brandon is like, definitely if she YT. And he tries to correct himself. But it's a little bit too late, my brother. It's already out the bag. So anyhow, Ashley is like, okay, so what did you and your father fight about? She was like, well, he completely went off and got bonkers when, I told him that I was pregnant. Now, Junebug didn't hear a word that she stated. He was chuckling over there, but Brandon and Ashley heard every word of it, and they were in awe. So they were like, what did you say? So Junebug finally realized, and it dawned on him what she had stated, and he was like, hold on, what did you just say? And she was like, we're pregnant. So Going on from there, we head back over to the stage where we see Miss Pat on stage this time, and she killing it. And then all of a sudden the lights cut off, and the DJ starts to play Wobble. So they get up and start dancing. Pat is like, I don't care what the hell y'all doing, y'all better have my money. So anyhow, she heads to the back. She sees Denise. She's looking for Tony. Denise got this look on her face like, oh hell, it's about to go down. Tony comes in, he's laughing it up, and she was like, look, what the hell is going on? Like, I still had 10 minutes left on my set. He was like, hey, ask your sister. And then he walks off and he was like, get in there. He is not playing. He is not playing no games with Pat. So anyhow, Pat wants to find out what happened. Like, why is this going on? Denise tells her, like, I had to say something, Pat, because it wasn't right what he was doing to you. Anyhow, Pat goes off on Denise, like, you only looking out for yourself. You're not looking out for the both of us. Like, you're messing up my career. Like, this opportunity doesn't come, often. And Denise is like, look, it wasn't right. She was like, look, I need you to focus, because as your manager, it's my job to make sure that everything goes well. Pat is like, look, I need you to stay up out of my business, because right now, your dumb ass messing it up. Denise is like, look, I'm a lot of things, but for sure, I'm not dumb. So going on from there, Pat leaves. Denise is upset. She throwing air fists and all of that stuff. So we head back over to the family crib where we see Brandon, Ashley, and Allison talking about the situation. She conveys to them that she's 12 weeks pregnant, and she's concerned about what the kids at school are going to say about her. And Brandon, who's in the conversation as well, is like, well, they're probably going to say you're pregnant. You're pregnant. And they was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm quite sure of that. So anyhow, going on from there, this is when it gets serious. And this is the main reason why I like this show, because of the topics that they have and the realness in the content that they talk about. So Terry comes downstairs and he's like, Allison, Junebug told me about your little situation that you needed somewhere to stay. And Brandon jumps up out of nowhere talking about, I know you didn't allow Junebug to dupe you and convince you to have his YT pregnant girlfriend over here. And he was like, hold on, wait a minute. What did you just say? And the look on his face, the disgust, the disappointment in his son. He could not believe it. And he's like, man, you better tell me that you lying to my face right now. So he sends everybody out of the room. Allison is like, good, we got so much to talk about. He was like, look, I'm going to be honest with you, Allison, like, you need to leave as well, because until this baby comes, like, you're your dad and your mom's responsibility, not mine. And that's true. Going on from there, he tries to have this conversation with his son, and he's like, look, man, your mother and I, we've tried so hard to make sure that you don't fall into that trap. Like, it's unrealistic to believe that you're not going to have sex, but couldn't you had at least used protection? And Junebug is like, but Dad, I did use protection. It just so happened that it couldn't handle my sperm or whatnot. And the look on his dad's face, Terry was furious. Like, look, man. So going on from there, we head back over to, I guess, the studio where we see Pat sitting down in this, I guess, the radio station or whatnot. In walks Tony Free's wife. Now, in a previous episode, we saw where Tony Free had actually, got a room for the ladies, came back to the room with two more ladies, talking about he needed the room for the night because he got these freaks with him. So anyhow, long story short, his wife actually shows up right when Denise and Pat are getting the room back. She thinks that both Denise and Pat are messing around with Tony. And they're like, no, we're strictly on tour with him. We're, headlining, and I'm selling the merchandise. Woo, woo, woo. So she was like, okay, I'm going to leave it alone. But she really doesn't trust anybody because of all the dirt that he's done to her. So as she's sitting down in the studio with Pat, she begins to cry. Pat is like, what in the hell is going on? She was like, look, where's my husband? Like, I know he's around here somewhere. I don't trust him. He's always cheating. And then when he gets coked up, it even makes it worse. And Pat is like, damn, like, you're going through all of this for what? Like, let this go. Like, for real. Like, If an individual is not going to treat you the way that you deserve to be treated, then you need to let them go. And that's why I leave it, because, in this scene right here as well, we see Denise pleading with him not to take it out upon Pat and her career because of the actions and the decisions that she made to go at him. Now, in the meantime, Pat is hearing all of this. His wife is hearing all of this. Pat is like, look, my sister ain't gonna be too much more bees, all right? He was like, look, all of y'all getting on my nerves. And then he just walks away. He didn't even address his wife, who was standing there. So I'm like, damn, like no respect at all. Anyhow, going on from there, we head back over to the Carson crib where we see Terry getting ready to call Pat, to address the situation that's going on with Junebug. Ashley's like, hold on, wait a minute, Dad, don't call Mom yet, because something doesn't seem right. Like something is not adding up. Like she told us she was 12 weeks pregnant, but I went on Junebug's social media account and found out that when they did, it was on homecoming weekend, which was actually 5 weeks ago. So what she's saying can't be true. So anyhow, in the meantime, the father, the mayor, and Allison comes over to sit down and have a chit chat with the family. So when they get over, long story short, I'm gonna go ahead and end this one real quick. It's not his child. She had actually messed around with another brother. He didn't want to have nothing to do with it. So she states that her father was the one to put her up to it, to put it on Junebug, because his situation was better. And not only that, but he's actually running for office. So, as a Republican, he didn't want any issues because they don't believe in abortions, woo, woo, woo. And I was like, but is it right to pin this child on a man that had nothing to do with it? Well, not a man, but a boy. But I'm just saying, and then to go on to tell Terry, look, we can still work this out. I'm sorry, but we can still make this work. Name your price. Terry's like, look, if you don't get the hell up out of my house, you're gonna find another situation going on behind your ass. So anyhow, going on from there, we head back over to the radio studio where we see Tony Free doing an interview, and Pat is sitting beside him, and his wife is in the studio as well. Now, Tony Free goes on to tell him all this stuff about the person that's interviewing him, all this stuff about how to treat a woman. And he was like, look, if you want to get a good woman and know how to keep her, all you need to give her is gifts and good penis, right? And the radio host is like, well, you heard it, that's all you need to do. But he also mentions the joke about, his son and all of this stuff. And he was like, man, that was hilarious. You had us clowning. It was great to hear that. So anyhow, Miss Pat had heard enough. So when it was her turn to talk about Tony Free or working with Tony Free, she let him have it. She pretty much put it out there that he stole her joke. And he was like, man, I ain't steal no joke. She was like, yes, you did, B. And he said, be back. And they went back and forth. And to use, verification, she already had a lifeline inside the studio, which was his wife, because she was like, he don't even have a son. And to clarify and to verify, let's go ahead and ask his wife, hey, do y'all have a son? She was like, no. So that's the end of the discussion. That's the end of it. And you could tell Tony Free was upset, but it was nothing that he could do, man. It was nothing that he could do. I guess he tried to pull it together when he was like, look, you're off the tour, right? She was like, I don't give a damn about this tour. Because at this time, she ain't focused on it. She was like, look, you can gain the whole world and lose your soul. She even tried to quote the Bible in the end. So anyhow, that's pretty much it, y'all. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this recap. Make sure to like and subscribe to this channel so y'all don't miss shit snit that's going down right here. I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.